Dealing with healthcare costs here in America can feel like you're walking through a minefield. You're just hoping for the best, but one wrong step could lead to a total financial disaster. So today, we're going to demystify those absolutely shocking medical bills and give you the tools you need to fight back. Let's dive in.
This quote, it really just hits you, doesn't it? It cuts right to the heart of the problem. A medical emergency shouldn't turn into a financial one. But for millions of us, that's exactly what happens. And the stories, wow, they're as common as they are unbelievable.
Just take a look at this. A family in Florida, their son needed 2 months of life-saving care in the NICU. And the bill they got? Over $500,000. Their proposed payment plan was nearly $46,000 a month. I mean, who can possibly pay that?
Or how about this one? A woman breaks her spine in a car crash. Her husband, trying to do the right thing, gets her an air ambulance to a trauma center. That choice came with a $60,000 price tag, about the same as a luxurious private flight. Just incredible.
And it's not just these massive life-or-death situations. Get this. A woman in New York got this unbelievable bill for a simple strep test. Why? Because the lab was considered out of network. Even after her insurance paid some, she was still on the hook for around $3,000 for a strep test. You might be thinking these are just isolated, crazy stories, right? Well, they're not. A survey from the University of Chicago found that 57%, that's a majority, of American adults have been hit with a surprise medical bill. This isn't a fluke, it's a systemic problem. So how on earth does this keep happening? To really get what's going on with these bills, we have to look under the hood at the system that creates them. And it really all boils down to a couple of key practices that can turn completely routine care into a financial nightmare. Okay, so the heart of the problem is this thing called balance billing. Sounds kind of boring, but this is the mechanism that lets a provider bill you for whatever your insurance company decides not to cover. It's the balance. And here's where that balance comes from. If your doctor is in-network, they have a deal with your insurance company to accept a certain price. Simple enough. But if they're out of network, there's no deal. Your insurer pays way less or maybe nothing at all, and the provider can legally bill you for the entire rest. And here's the kicker. This happens all the time, even when you go to an in-network hospital, because maybe the anesthesiologist who helps you is secretly out of network. And just to make things even more complicated, bills are often unbundled. This analogy is perfect. It's like a budget airline. You think you bought a ticket, but then they charge you for your seat, for your bag, for a bottle of water. In healthcare, that means you might see separate charges for the IV bag, the salt water inside it, the little plastic tube, and the nurse's time to hang it. Every single thing can be a separate line item. And that's how costs just explode.
Okay, I know. That all sounds pretty bleak. But here's the good news. People got really, really angry about these bills, and that public outcry has actually led to some major changes. You now have real federal protections designed to shield you from the worst of these surprises. The key piece of legislation you need to know about is the No Surprises Act. As of 2022, this law put a stop to many of the most common and frankly most outrageous forms of surprise billing.
So what does it do? Well, it protects you from surprise bills for most emergency services, for care you get from out-of-network doctors at in-network hospitals, and for those pricey air ambulance rides. But, and this is a huge but, there's a major gap. Ground ambulances are not covered, which is why you can still get a massive, shocking bill for a simple ride to the hospital. And even with these new protections, you're not totally in the clear. The law has a kind of built-in escape hatch that some providers can and definitely do use. So you have to be on the lookout for a document called the Surprise Billing Protection Form. It sounds helpful, right? It's the exact opposite. If a provider asks you to sign this for a non-emergency service, you are legally signing away your rights under the No Surprises Act. You're agreeing to be billed at the higher out-of-network rate. So unless you fully understand that and agree to it, do not sign it. All right. Knowing the system and knowing your rights, that's half the battle. So now, let's talk about the other half, becoming your own best advocate when that bill actually arrives in your mailbox. So why is it so important to actually check your bill? Well, get ready for this number. Some reports estimate that as many as 80% of medical bills have errors in them. Let me say that again. 8 out of every 10 bills could be wrong. This isn't about trying to get out of a bill you owe. It's about making sure you're not paying for someone else's mistake. So here's your action plan. First, always request a detailed, itemized bill, not just that one-page summary.
That is your right. Second, once you have it, comb through it. Look for mistakes, like being charged twice for something or being billed for services you never even got. Third, do your homework. Use online tools to see what a fair price is for those services in your area. This gives you so much leverage. Fourth, pick up the phone and call the billing department. Be ready to negotiate. And fifth, if your insurance company denies a claim, don't just accept it, appeal it. A denial is often just the beginning of the conversation, not the end.
I mean it. You got to put on your detective hat here. Scrutinize every single line. Were you charged for a private room, but you were actually in a shared one? Does the bill say you got 5 Tylenol, but you only remember getting 3? These little mistakes can add up to big, big money. Now, I know that calling to negotiate can sound terrifying. So here's some actual language you can use. You just want to be polite, explain that the bill is a real financial hardship, and then ask what options are available. The goal is just to start a conversation. And please remember, you are not alone in this fight. If you think you got a bill that violates the No Surprises Act, or if you're just feeling completely overwhelmed by it all, this is the number to call. The federal government has a help desk specifically for this stuff. You see, by understanding the system, knowing your rights, and then taking these concrete steps, you transform yourself from just a passive patient into an empowered advocate for your own financial health. Look, at the end of the day, this system is incredibly complex, and a lot of times it feels really unfair. But knowledge is power. Scrutinizing your bills, asking questions, negotiating, these aren't just ways to maybe save some money. They are necessary skills for navigating healthcare in America. So the question is, are you ready to use them?